We've been speculating how Tesla was going to open up the supercharging network for a while now, but we didn't really have any confirmation until yesterday's earnings call, where essentially they stated that yes, non-Tesla EVs will be able to charge at superchargers all over the world. They didn't quite give us a timeline, but they did reaffirm that they plan on doing this in Asia, Europe, and the United States. In both Asia and Europe, they have the same connector, so it shouldn't really be that complicated. They're saying that you'll be able to just say within the Tesla app what charger you're at and which stall you're at, and then it'll provide a charge for a certain period of time, but it will limit you so you can't charge infinitely, and the rates of the electricity will change depending on if it's a high use station or a low use station. Honestly, my only advice for Tesla would be to make a separate app. I feel like the dedicated Tesla app might be a bit confusing if it's meant for Tesla owners to use to set up and pair to their car, and also meant for non-Tesla owners to use. In my opinion, they should just make a supercharging app that's dedicated just for third-party EVs that want to charge at those locations. But they did mention in the United States they're going to have to make an adapter because the Tesla connector they use in North America has been around since the early days of the Model S, and there was no standard back then, and of course they're still using it. They even mentioned that they want to start including adapters at supercharging stations themselves, which I was pretty surprised by. My thought process was Tesla would just sell these adapters to people who want them, whether or not it's actually EV automakers, like Ford wants to start including the Tesla adapter with every Mach-E sold, just so they can say that the Mach-E has a stronger charging network now, or just selling it to individual customers so that even if you have a Chevy Bolt from 3 years ago, you'd be able to buy this accessory from Tesla's website for whatever the Tesla wants to charge. But the way I interpreted it after yesterday's earnings call was that Tesla is not really going to try to hide this accessory or make it difficult for third parties to charge at superchargers. They're kind of welcoming it. They do not want to have a walled garden, as they said, taking shots at Apple, but honestly, Elon, your company has a lot in common with Apple that I wouldn't really try to poke the beast with, between you not supporting CarPlay or not allowing an app store on your platform, or your right to repairability, a standpoint on Tesla's vehicles. There's no need to get so angry and fussy at Apple, Elon. But I could admire the dream of wanting to make sure that all chargers in the future are able to charge any EV, and I do think that ultimately will help people make the switch to electric more comfortably. Even if it's not necessarily buying a Tesla, in the future, if we all know that it's become standard that any electric vehicle can charge at any electric vehicle charging station, people will feel a lot more comfortable knowing that, yeah, I can charge my Bolt or my ID4 or my Tesla at any Electrify America station or at any Tesla supercharger, and I don't have to worry about one not being compatible with the other. Again, as long as you have that accessory, but superchargers might actually start providing that adapter for people who want it. The biggest concern I have with the way Tesla is apparently rolling this out is that they're not going to be able to rapidly deploy the supercharger network fast enough, because we already know some superchargers already have lines, and there's times where so many people are trying to charge that you cannot get in right away, and there's not always stalls available. So if you start opening these chargers up to everybody, now that means there's going to be even more wait times and even longer waits, and it's possible that people who have paid 6 figures for their Teslas could show up to Tesla supercharging stations and have to wait longer because there's tons of Chevy Bolts or ID4s or Mach-E's trying to charge up. I think that's going to tick off a lot of the Tesla fan base. There's going to be a lot of Tesla customers that are not happy about this, and honestly, the only solution moving forward that Tesla can do is try to deploy superchargers faster, try to improve the charging rates, and Tesla apparently believes that by opening up the supercharger network to everyone, they're going to be able to make it more profitable. Simply by having more high-use stations and having more third-party EVs charging, they'll be able to take that money they get from having more customers that are outside of Tesla's own customer base, and they'll funnel that money into rapidly deploying more and more superchargers. So from the beginning, Tesla was never ultimately hoping that the supercharger network would be a high source of profit for them. I'm pretty confident that all the money they make on superchargers is pretty much just going to go right back into making more. I'm just concerned that based on the wait times and lines we have currently, Tesla's not going to be able to deploy these fast enough. And Tesla probably will lose a little bit of an advantage that they've had for the past couple years. So many people have likely chosen to go with Teslas simply because they know they have the supercharging network, and I can recall very popular tech YouTuber Marquez Brownlee saying that if he could have supercharging on the Porsche Taycan can, he would rather have that than he would have a Tesla Model S. And I think there's a lot of people out there that might be willing to look at Tesla alternatives in the event that they can support the Supercharger network, which sounds like is not that far away. And as long as you've got the dongle or accessory you need to plug into the network, you'll be able to tap into the fastest, most accessible charging network in the world. So some people, I guess, might be worried about Tesla's losing a bit of their competitive advantage there, but in my opinion, Tesla has already established that they have overwhelming amount of demand that they cannot keep up with. You know, the Model Y has been out for so long, and they've readjusted the chips on the inside to adapt to supply chain shortages, and they're still delivering more vehicles now than they ever have before, and yet despite all of that, the wait times on Model 3s, Model Ys, Model S's, and X's, they're still way backed up, and they're building new factories as quickly as possible. Cybertruck demand is through the roof, and if the 4680s going into the Model Y improves the range or improves the price by anything at all, I'm sure the demand and I'm sure the orders are just going to keep going up. So at this point, Tesla doesn't really care if they lose their exclusive supercharging argument anymore because they already can't keep up with demand. So if the orders go down a little bit, that will give Tesla, I think, a chance to catch up on all of their backlog of orders and probably lower prices and actively encourage other companies to sell more electric vehicles and hopefully make more overall. So Tesla's not about being the only car maker in the world. They want other companies to be doing the same steps that they are with ramping battery production and converting their whole lineup to electric. So ultimately, I agree, it's quite bizarre for Tesla to directly give their competitors an advantage over them and to actively take away an exclusive that a lot of people ultimately chose Teslas over. But it is admirable because it does support their mission statement, and it does honestly get me kind of excited because I love vehicles like the Aptera that are coming from startup companies and trying to emphasize a huge amount of energy efficiency. I wanted those things to be capable of charging on the Supercharger network. It sounds like now they can, but my next biggest follow-up question I have for Tesla is that if there's a company startup like Aptera that hasn't really delivered a product yet, and they of course want to piggyback off of the supercharging network, is Tesla going to allow companies like Aptera to have the Tesla connector, since those vehicles are apparently going to work at superchargers anyway? I would kind of be fine if Aptera wanted to use the Tesla connector instead of the CCS, because there's more superchargers than there are Electrify America's chargers. So if I'm going to be going to Tesla stations most of the time, just give me a Tesla connector so I don't have an adapter to worry about. And if I do need to charge at EVgo or Electrify America, in that case, alright, I'll get a CCS to Tesla adapter, which Tesla has said they're going to release, but they haven't done it yet. I'm sure it'll all come in time, but how do you guys feel as Tesla customers or potential customers of Tesla in the future? Do you think they're making the right call here with just opening up for everyone and starting to include adapters at individual superchargers? Or do you wish this would remain as an elite Tesla exclusive feature and they wouldn't be opening it up to everybody else? Feel free to let me know how you guys feel on the subject. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.